everyone, Josh here with X's Network, bringing out another OUTERPLANE video, and today we're going to be looking at Lane and exploring the dot that she does, Poison. She is currently the only hero in the entire game that can actually inflict Poison debuff dot on any hero in the game. Now, this was not a unit or even a dot that we really even talked about much on this channel, or really within the community itself, until we got the Maxwell Guild raid, because of course the way that her mechanics work fit nicely for that raid and helping you get those big scores. So with that said, it allowed me, well, I don't want to say allowed me, it introduced me to the Poison mechanic and allowed me to explore it further and test it further and see truly the potential that it had and what it could actually do for you in terms of turn manipulation. And the results that I found were very, very cool, and I'm glad to be able to share that with you guys and gals here today, because I feel like after you see what it's actually capable of, and then you talk about, you know, hey, let's add some more Poison units in the game in the future, there's some really cool combinations and stuff like that that you can do with this, especially if you do it in tandem with other priority push and pull units like a Valentine, for example, or even speed down units like, of course, Eternal with her ultimate, for example, or the skill 2 of Dolly. Like, things like that could be really, really cool. You could also use a speed up mechanic too on certain heroes that have that buff available to them. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do alongside Poison. I just feel obviously at this time we don't have enough Poison units to really explore further its true potential, but we can at least get a good idea here today of what it can do and what it's capable of in hopefully the near future. So let's go ahead and jump into Adventure. I just thought that this would be a neat little video for y'all out there, because I always like finding these little things that seem very interesting and can do some really cool stuff potentially in the game, especially if we add more units to it and we build a proper team comp around it. Could be very exciting, could be very helpful as well to some people depending on your situation and where you currently are in the game. So first we want to look at the boss. We see here that his speed is 164. Now this is important for the test that we're doing here today. So his speed is 164. Now, unfortunately, I did not have the right setup of gear that I could throw on as spare parts or even with main pieces of gear to get exactly 164. But we got pretty close here with our Alice. We just threw some spare parts on there and we got her to 165. I took her exclusive equipment away as well, so she's not getting that first turn speed boost. So it's 165, very close to the boss's 164. And then we also have our Lane, also on spare parts, with at least effectiveness, so we can get our poisons to land for the test consistently, and of course just to be fast enough to be faster than the boss and go multiple times and potentially lap the boss. So with all that stuff set up, let's go ahead and get into the actual test. Let me show you guys and gals a little bit about what we discovered here. Okay, we have the speed turned off a little bit, so we can kind of, you know, take this step at a time and slowly break down what's happening here. So if you look at the turn meter right now, you'll see that our Alice and the enemy are neck and neck in terms of priority for when it's going to be their next turn. They're both at 84%, which makes sense because obviously they're very close in speed. 165 speed versus 164 speed. You also have the RNG factor in this game as well for speed when it comes to -2 to a positive 5% ratio or margin, I guess you could say. A lot of people have realized that the hard way in PvP sometimes when they're running two units that are very similar speeds and you wanted one to go first but it actually went second. It happens. A little bit of speed RNG there. It's in a lot of these games, especially games that are very heavy and focused on speed metas. So we can see here we are very neck and neck with the priority, 84. Okay, that makes sense. Now what we're going to do is you know what, I want to use her skill. I'll use her skill 2 because skill 2 does not have a poison. So let me do this first. Let me just, you know, do a normal attack just so we can kind of work our way around to the second time. We're just going to use our skill 1 again. Okay, now the boss is going to take his turn. That's fine. Okay, and now we're back around. Now if we look again, we're again still neck and neck, 66 and 65%. It makes sense because they're so close in speed. Now what happens when we start applying poisons? Watch this. this is when it starts getting very interesting. Okay, he got poisoned twice because obviously our skills are fully maxed out. Now, if you see here, now we're at 100%, 96, so we're still neck and neck because the boss has not taken his turn yet. But wait till you see what happens when the boss takes his initial turn. It's crazy. So we're just going to go ahead and use the skill 1 yet again. And then the boss is going to take his turn. He's going to trigger the poisons. Now watch this. Now remember, when we went back around last time, they were still neck and neck. But now look what's happening. Now look at what's happening. Now there's a 14% priority gap between our Alice and the boss. So now we're starting to build somewhat of a gap here, even though our Alice is still at 165 speed. So now the poisons are starting to take effect in slowing this guy down. Kind of crazy, right? Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to get another poison off here because obviously it's a smaller percentage on the skill 1. No, we didn't. However, you guys and gals can clearly see that we're starting to get that priority to kind of gap out. And if you look here again, well, I guess we'll wait till he takes his next turn. We'll wait till he takes his next turn. Okay, the poison is triggered again. Now he's going to take his turn. Now let's see how big the gap got this time. Ooh. Now it was 14% gap. Now it's 71 and 43. Nearly a 30% gap right there. It's like roughly 28%, give or take. So the gap is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're doing this over the course of a fight and you're able to stack more poisons, because again, obviously we only have one poison hero in the game. If we had more poison heroes to continuously keep stacking, or maybe if I made her even faster, who knows what we could do if we can get more poison stacks to go off. Because again, we're relying solely on Lane. If she had other poison units, that means we're lowering the priority even further. So what's happening is poison is lowering the priority by, it says in the description 20%. I'd have to test that further to really see what's happening there percentage wise. It would take a little bit more testing, but let's just say it is accurate, and it is lowering the priority by 20%. What's happening is it's lowering the priority by 20% every single time the enemy takes their turn, because when you take your turn, you gain priority. That's how you move up, the ladder. How you move up the turn order. It's going to be based on your speed, etc. But if you're manipulating the priority and you're pushing them down and down and down and down, eventually, even your units that are the same speed as the boss are going to start lapping the boss. So if we would have went a few more turns using maybe another poison or two, we would have gotten to a situation where Alice would have actually went twice in a row before the boss got to go once. And that's with them having the same base speed, and we're not even adding additional priority push or pull in this team, and we're not even adding speed down or speed up. Imagine stacking all that on top of what we're already doing with poisons, and you're essentially just making the boss just sit there with his thumbs up his butt, because he has nothing to do. He can't do anything. He's literally stuck in time, while everyone else is just passing him by again and again and again. It's actually pretty dang disgusting. So if you start fighting bosses in the future that are not immune to poisons, and we have other poison units, and you have maybe a speed down unit in there as well, like an Eternal or a Dolly, or you have a speed up hero in there, you can do some crazy things on top of having a Valentine and other priority push units, where the boss is just going to sit there, and you can just beat on them and beat on them, beat on them. Obviously, this isn't going to work as well on those turn limit types contents where, you got 20 turns, 30 turns, etc. But when you're in stages that do not have turn limits, especially when we get harder content, this could be a very, very fun cheese strat to use. So I just wanted to share that with you all out there. Hopefully it was very helpful and enjoyable. I like making content like this and finding little things like this because it's a lot of fun. I love theory crafting. I love trying to break these games and do lots of cheesy strats, tilty things, cancerous metas, stall metas, whatever you want to call them. Lots of fun stuff, right? So anyways, that's going to be it for me. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, take notifications, join us in the Discord in the description below as always, and of course follow us on Twitter at Access Network, and I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, peace.